Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I'm super excited to share with you a 1 to 4 player cooperative deck building game where players are trying to rebuild the world before it's too late. And this really is a race against the clock because players are going to use basic elements like earth, time, water, air, and sun. Those are the 5 elements to grow some plants and then to get those in the right habitat to bring in animals from the animal kingdom to rebuild the biome tiles. And if players can build all 7 biome tiles before they activate all 7 extinction tiles, they will win the game. So let's take a look at what's in the game and how it works. So before you play the game, players are going to receive 1 of each of the 5 element types and 2 disaster cards. Disaster cards are exactly what you think they are. They clog up your deck and they might actually trigger some negative effects once you receive too many. So disasters, bad. The other thing they receive are these bonus tiles that they can use 1 of on their turn, each turn, as long as they have 1 to activate. You'll see the plant row is here, and then at the top you've got the animal row, on the side of the extinction tiles, and here are those biome tiles. So I've got this set up for a 2-player game just to walk through a couple turns to show you how you use your cards, what you do on your turn, and of course how you start getting really cool cards into your hand because again, this is a deck builder. So I'm going to start over here with this player. What you do on your turn is you flip over the top 4 cards from your deck face up into your card area. So this player's got, a disaster, a water, an earth, and a time. What they're going to do with these cards is they're going to look and see, do I have any of the elements available to buy or bring into my deck 1 of these plant cards? It looks like here is I've got these 2 elements for this one. I just don't have a sun, do I? But I do have, let's grab this super cool card. Let's try that. We'll see how it works. I think both of these are very similar in the sense that I have everything but the sun. Now, you can always buy a card and bring it into your hand if you have the elements available. Let's say you're 1 short though. There's a rule that you pay the elements that you do have by pushing them up a little bit past your baseline. And I say I've got the water, I've got the earth, I've got the time. I just don't have the sun. Well, you're able to take that card from this supply area into your hand, exhausted, and then you add this card to your hand. So I'm going to slide these cards down just a little bit so I can make room for my player, but it comes in unexhausted because this card has not been used yet. So now I've got a disaster card. I have this new card. I'm going to refill whatever I just purchased, and I can keep playing on my turn if I have elements that can allow me to invest in the plants. But I also now have these bonus abilities, and I haven't talked about the bonus abilities just yet. So what they do is they let you do 1 of 3 things, and if you see multiple icons pictured on a card, you can do 1 of the pictured icons, not all 3. So this just gives you variety. It doesn't give you an abundance of bonus abilities. So this one, every player has 1 as well. It's not the same. I mean, you use it, but it's independent from your individual bonus tokens. This one lets you flush 1 of these rows. You say, I'd like to pick up all these cards, put them on the bottom, and then draw 4 new ones. This allows you to draw 1 card from the top of your deck and put it into your play area unexhausted. And then this arrow allows you to take a card from your area, but you can place it back into 1 of the respective piles, or you can give it to another player, putting it in their player area. The only trick is that you can't activate a give card and give that card to someone. So if I activated this, I would not be able to give anything to a player because I have already exhausted these cards. You can only pass unexhausted cards if you use this symbol. And you're never allowed to pass or discard your disaster cards. So those are always going to stay in your deck and they're always going to be there. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could do one of these. Let's say I'm going to, well, I can't give because I can't give this card. If I draw a card, I probably am not going to be able to buy anything else because I need at least 3 elements. And the rule is if you're 1 element shy, you take the element and you take the card. And I would be drawing 1 card and it may not actually help me because I can't get, I have to have 2 and I would be drawing 1. So I'm simply going to say I don't want to use that bonus ability. It is optional. And at the end of this player's turn, they simply take all their cards and they put them in a discard pile. You simply put them right here in that discard space. And now I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit because I'm going to get to my next player. So now this player is going to go, but this player is also going to draw up to 4. Now they have 3 cards. So we're going to flip over those 3 cards and yes, they're going to take their discard and shuffle, and then they're going to put their cards out. Now, the reason why you always want to make sure that you see what your other players have available is because that's what this pass ability really allows you to do, is pass something that maybe you don't need, that they need this next turn. And of course, you have more players at the table. That means you can have more options of passing cards. But you always want to see, okay, what are the possibilities for everyone because you are working together. And I have to say that this game really is best when players are using their bonus tiles and they're using the bonus actions that you see on the cards available to you. So that's really, really important. So that might be my first tip to you. Okay, now it's back to this player. We're going to go and see what they can do. They've got a wind, an earth, and a sun. It looks like sun, earth, sun, earth, sun, earth. There's no wind out there. And this one needs 2 water. So I don't have any water at all. So I think what I'm going to do is probably invest in this Boletus edulis. This is the mushroom card. Now, I haven't talked about this at all yet. We've talked about bonuses, but whenever you grab these plant cards, you are essentially saying, I want to invest in this particular biome that's listed in the top corner. So this is that blue, this is the purple, light green, and this one has 2, which is really good. It's flexible, light green and dark green. So I'm going to say I want to buy this card, so I go earth, and I go sun. I need water. So now I'm going to take the water card, place it into my play area, exhausted, and this guy's going to come into my play area, unexhausted. Now, I have wind that is available, and I also have my cool mushroom card. Let's take a look at what comes out here. And I also want to note too, just because the card flipped over, this is a prototype version of Ecosfera, and so some of the cards haven't gotten their finalized artwork just yet. So some of the cards you're going to see, they are not going to be the final artwork. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. But all the important bits are here. The mechanics and all the symbols work just as well, even without the beautiful artwork that you can see in a lot of these images so far. So this one requires 2 sun and a time, which this player just does not have. So what they could do is see, is there any wind available to send over, because players can use one of their tokens. I could say, oh, I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to give this card over to that particular player. But the thing is, if you ever have matching plant symbols, so let's say I get this card. I don't have this card just yet, but let's say I have it. I can exhaust these 2 cards by pushing them up the line and saying I have this green, light green symbol that matches. And I'm going to look up here on this top row and say, I want to take either the brown bear or the red deer into my hand. That's how you collect animals, is by looking at these and matching down here. And yet again, let's say we've got 2 matching animals in your player area. You will activate those by exhausting them, and every single matching symbol that you have, I have a light green, I have a dark green, and I have a blue center. I will go through the biome tiles and I will say, okay, I got the aquatic, I got the taiga, and I got, oh no, not the aquatic. Let me take that back. The temperate forest, and then the center, the tundra. So I'm going to put these guys back here, and I'm going to put those out, and we're going to start to build that biome that has 7 tiles. We've got 3 of them so far by exhausting the matching types on a player's turn. So let's say on your turn, you're not able to invest in a plant card, you're not able to take an animal card, and you're not able to build a biome. If that happens, you have to take a disaster into your player area and you add it to your lineup. If this is your 3rd disaster showing in your line, you have to take an extinction tile and place that and start a new separate area, and now the race is on. Are you going to build your biome, all 7, before you build and ruin the earth with the disasters by building those extinction tiles? There's another way to get disaster cards. Let's say you have some sun. I'm going to put this here. I have a draw card. I'm going to say I'd like to play a draw card, and I put this out in my player area. I have 3 elements that are all the same. I take a disaster and I add a disaster to my hand. If you have 3 of the same element, and that could absolutely make a domino effect. If this one is the 3rd one because I drew it here and it's my 3rd disaster, I get this. And anytime you are drawing a disaster card because of your elements or because you drew 3 disasters, your turn is over. So not only do you have to draw the card and or draw an extinction tile, your turn is over and you're going to collect those cards and you're going to put your new 4 cards out from the top of your deck. There's one final situation that all players hope that they don't find themselves in, and that is, let's say you draw the top cards from your deck and they all are disaster cards. You will then draw 3 extinction tiles and place them out into this area, building your ruin land, and your turn ends immediately. So, what is going on in this game? Now, I've already given you just a little hint at how I think this game is best for players is when they use their bonus abilities. Flushing out these plant and animal cards so that you can have the right elements to invest in plants and to have the right biomes that match to then acquire the animal cards into your hand is crucial. It's crucial. And if you see that there are plants and animals out here that are not the ones you need, because let's say you've already built a couple biomes, and you say, well, we don't need to invest necessarily as much in the dark green and the light green and the tundra, the light blue. We need to focus more on the blue and the purple, right? This maroon color that's out there. You have to be really careful about making sure what's available is what you need. And that's what this kind of asterisk symbol is the flush. It's the refresh symbol. Drawing cards is super important, but it's risky because when you draw a card from the top of your deck, you're not sure if it's going to trigger one of those end your turn immediately, so it's a little risky. But if you're really looking for a particular plant or animal card that you've invested in so that you can do this, right? Oh, look, I've got my matching dark blues. I'm going to push those up, and that allows me to build my aquatic biome. That can be really helpful. The other thing is, let's say you've exhausted some cards and they have special abilities, you can still use them. You don't have to use an ability before you exhaust, and whether they're up or down on your row, you can still do them. So this allows you to pass a card. This allows you to refresh one of the rows. And I'm going to say that the pass is very, very important. Passing cards around and to the right person at the right time is just so important. And let's say now that I've got these cards here, I don't necessarily need to worry about the king penguin. Now I do want the American crocodile because we don't have purple yet. Do you see that? We don't have the purple tropical, but I do have the tundra and the aquatic. I can say I'm going to take this return, and I'm simply going to take this animal and place them back underneath the pile. And so that's going to allow me to clear out my deck so that I don't draw a card that's not helpful at this point in the game. There are ways to adjust for difficulty on top of just really cool strategy too, because the game allows you to include fewer elements for a more challenging game. Now for just a regular 2 to 4 player game, you add 8 cards of each element plus 1 card for every player. So the game comes with 12 of each element. Now if you want to play harder, you're going to play with 7 plus the amount of players, or 6 plus the amount of players, and so forth. And so there are ways to eliminate these element cards that make it way more strategic because you have to play with fewer cards. And you're slowly building your deck. I mean, already you can see, I did some, funny business here, but my deck is already getting pretty big, and then I shuffle it and I'm like, okay, here we go. So now my deck is grown, over the course of a couple turns. So that's going to be important too, is making sure that you want to adjust for your element choice. When you have 2 matching animal types. So let's say I've got my American crocodile and my humped wrasse. I'm going to push them up, and I can take the biome of dark blue and purple. If I have a match, I am able to refresh one of my tokens in addition to getting the biome that matches. And that's the only way that you are allowed to refresh these tokens. These are once only, unless when you have 1 match at least, so not 2, even though they match twice to get 2 biomes, you only will get 1 refresh. And you can pick, if they're all face down, you're like, okay, which one do I want? And you flip one over, and then that one's available to use again. That's really, really cool. There's one other really, really interesting move that you can make in this game, and it has to do with the mushrooms. And the mushrooms allow you to essentially skip the animal kingdom phase. What you're going to do is you're going to find the mushroom card, and it's literally the one that I got early on. It's the Boletus edulis. And if you have this card, plus a card that has a mushroom in the symbol up here, that means that you are able to look at these symbols, you exhaust your cards, and again, instead of going to the animal phase, instead of taking one of these available animal cards, which seems like they're all purple right now, oh no, you can skip straight to the biome, and you can essentially find that biome, and you can build the one that matches. So that one means you get the light green biome, and you don't have to go through the animal phase to get to matching animals to then get the biome. And that is the super, super cool mushroom. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, that's a really, really cool move that is 100% built into the game. Ecosfera is a really dynamic, interesting, cooperative deck building game. I love the positive vibes here, and I love the rebuilding and kind of saving the world theme here with all the different plants, the fungi, the animals. I think it just has a really, really sharp theme to it. And the way that you build your deck has to be thoughtful. Now, it's sometimes challenging when you're looking at maybe a plant card out here going, that's the only card I can buy, and if I don't buy that card, I take a disaster into my hand. But I think once the game really gets going, you have a little bit more flexibility and choice in your strategy and your technique, especially with passing cards to players, drawing cards from the top of your deck, and then refreshing the available plant and or animal rows. And so it's just really interesting. I haven't played a game like this before, and I find it to be just so new and exciting. The learning curve here, when you first get into it, that first game might be tough figuring out what you do and when to do it and how to really find that balance with the amount of players that you have. But after that, I felt like my games got sharper, smarter, better, and that's when I wanted to start changing the difficulty in the game. And so I found it to be just a really fun puzzle of a game, and I think the thing that makes it just work so well is the cooperative nature, and that, as a mechanic, 100% fits in with the theme. And so I think it's just so wonderfully balanced. So for a 2 to 4 player game with other players, great. Guess what? There's also that solitaire version, because yes, this is also a 1-player game if you want to save the world on your own. Now, this game does take between 40 and 80 minutes depending on how many players are in the game, but I think it's just a lovely, lovely game that you should check out super soon. All right, thank you for joining me in this run through and tutorial of just how this game feels, what it looks like, and what it offers players. And I'll see you later. Bye.